Hello ladies and gentlemen, Yessik here again today to bring you a short review of Tiny and Big in Grandpa's Leftovers. Now this is a really good game, and I'm going to preface this by saying buy it. Like, go out now, buy it, buy the soundtrack edition. The soundtrack's great, the gameplay's excellent, and it really puts me in mind of the old school classics on the Nintendo 64 or PlayStation 1. So this is our main protagonist, Tiny, and our objective is to, with the assistance of our radio, go and get Grandpa's underwears from Biggs, who stole them. So there are a few main mechanics in this, and I will be showing them sort of throughout the video. I'm going to start by showing you the grappling hook, which can be used to pull major items and dislodge things. So that's the first couple clips there. Now this game is mostly a physics-based puzzler based on your three tools. So, like I said, the grappling hook, the laser, which is going to be coming up next, and the last thing I'll show you with the rocket. So the grappling hook lets you reach inaccessible areas and move blocks around. The laser allows you to cut blocks so that you can sort of change their shape or bring them down so you can use them. And the rocket allows you to basically push blocks away from you at high speed. The great thing about these tools, however, isn't that they are good puzzles on their own, good mechanics on their own, but that combined, they allowed you to get past the puzzles in ways that you wouldn't normally expect. And near the end of this review, I'm going to be putting up a couple of bullshit and really fun ways that I've gotten by some of the early game puzzles. The art style in this game kind of reminds me of a mix between Borderlands and that cel-shaded art style, and Adventureland, which is a crazy cartoon that you can probably find most episodes of online that was very strange, placed in a post-apocalyptic world. And kind of the mood reminds me a bit of Adventureland too. It's not quite as silly, but the character shapes are the same, and it's the same sort of weird, quirky sense of humor that you wouldn't necessarily expect. So here's a demonstration of the rocket. As you can see, I failed the first time, then sent it flying off into the distance. Rocket is one of my favorite tools, as it sometimes causes things to really go nuts, or go flying in directions you would not normally expect them to. Now the reason I say this puts me in mind of older sort of Nintendo or PlayStation 1 games, and especially Nintendo 64, is that the entire game gives me that sense of free-roaming adventure that games like Donkey Kong 64 or Chameleon on the Nintendo 64 did. You know, every once in a while you find a solution and you're like, that's probably not how I was supposed to solve it, that is excellent. And every single puzzle you solve, every place you get across, it's like the designers didn't really plan for you to get across that way. I'm sure they did, but it feels like they didn't, and that you've somehow cheated the game. And I just love sort of that old school puzzling vibe. If I were to say this reminds me of one game, it would probably have to be, surprisingly enough, Half-Life 2, with its physics gun. Except in this, the physics gun isn't just sort of a novelty that helps you get around, it is actually a necessity, and you have to stand on the really shaky physics that the physics gun puts your way. Now sometimes that can lead to a few troubles. This game is a bit hard, and sometimes the deaths don't feel like they're your fault. Checkpoints are frequent, and you never really feel like you're losing too much progress. The deaths are annoying, but they're manageable. Now here's an example of how you can use all the tools together to think of creative solutions. So you cut up the door, you use a rocket to push it in, you use your grappling hook to pull it out. So I would highly recommend getting this game, and as is now usual in my reviews, I'm going to end with like a pros and cons. So, in terms of the pros, I love the graphic style, I love the humor, and I love the weird sound effects that sometimes go off to the side. I really enjoy how you can bullshit your way through a puzzle, as I am currently doing in this video, and I really enjoy all the mechanics and the physics. As a con, it sometimes feels like the game cheats you out of puzzles that you should have been able to beat, and it sometimes feels like the physics engine is not quite doing its job properly. But that's a pretty minimal complaint. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.